Hi, I'm Dylann Crush. I'm here with Dawn Luedecke, my co-hostess for Romance Happy Hour, and we're here for our book club tonight with
Yes.
the amazing writing duo of Piper Rayne. So excited to have both of you with us tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we are here to talk about Sneaking Around with number 34. I know this is always backwards, but I happen to have my copy with me. And this was one of the featured books in the Romance Happy Hour Lucky Shot book box that we sent out about a month ago or so. And I was really excited to get a copy of this. I mean, not only is it a super hot cover, I know our viewers always love it when we show the covers. But oh my gosh, what a great book. So
Thanks.
I'm excited to talk about it tonight. And I had not read any of the other books in this series. So do you guys want to just tell us a little bit about a little intro to the series and, just kind of a little bit about you and intro to you and a little bit about the series before we really start talking about the book and everything?
Sure. You want to go, Piper? You want
No,
me?
you go ahead, Ray.
Well, the Hockey Heidies is obviously it's a professional hockey team. They're actually the Florida Fury, so it takes place in Florida. Majority of the book. Warner is the fourth book in the series, and the heroine is book number 3, which is Ford, his sister. So it is but Ford and Warner are ex-best friends. So they were best friends in high school, and then they had a falling out, which you don't really know about until you read his book. And so yeah, it's kind of a found family series is what we think of it as, because we do write a lot of family series, but this one we feel like is a found family between the hockey players. So yeah.
And just a little bit about both of you before we, get in talking about the book. How did you start writing together? Because, it took me a little while, and we even did the Jingle Balls anthology together, and I didn't even know, until we'd started doing that you weren't one person. Well, how did that come about?
Yeah.
We met originally in 2014, very early 2014, and we shared an editor, and we were at the same signing, and it was both of our first signings ever. So we were both, like nervous and like, and so our editor introduced us, and we just became friends, and so we would chat all the time. And finally, I don't know, we kind of had always, like, for years really batted around the idea of like, oh, maybe we should write a book together, and like never really did anything about it. And then in 2016, I think I was just like, okay, so do you want to do this, like, really, like, and like we're just kind of both at a point in our individual writing careers where it was a good, I think, time to take like a pause and try something different. And so we really started it
bit more, and
yeah, we started it not that we didn't take it seriously. We really probably planned out better than when we were just both writing on our own.
Yeah.
But we were just like, I think we committed to 6 books. Like, we're like, let's just do these 6 and we'll see what happens. Like, like maybe no one will like them, and that's fine. We'll just go back to writing on our own and we'll just see what happens. And so we wrote our Modern Love series and the Single Dads Club series, and they did okay. So we were like, oh, okay. And I think we both liked the process of working with somebody else. So, here we are 5+ years later and like almost 60 books, I think, or something crazy that we've written together. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you were not geographically close to each other. I know that because I had to send you something. So how does that work? I mean, you're
Canada.
Yeah. Piper's in Canada and I'm outside Chicago. So it's just a lot of Zoom calls. I mean, we actually haven't seen each other since pre-COVID, right at this point.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think the last time we saw each other was RAM.
Yeah. November 2019.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, and then all the signings we were scheduled for, unfortunately, I've had a family situation I can't make it to in the next few months, and so I've had to pull out. So even when we were counting on seeing each other, that's not happening. So now I don't know when we're going to see each other in person.
All right. Another reason why we don't have like an author picture of the two of us together, because we kept saying we were going to do it and then everything hit. So then,
Every time we do something, they're like, "Send us your headshots." We're like,
You're
"Well,
like,
we don't have one together yet."
Maybe they could do, you know how when you have like, here's the couple and this is what their kid would look like. Kind of merges you both into one person.
That's a good idea.
That would be fun.
Funny.
Yeah, somebody was just asking, do you live in the same state? And what's the difference?
Yeah, I was just gonna
Even the
say
same
it was it's Deanna. Deanna, let us see who you are. You gotta, you know this. Let's StreamYard, let us see who you are. So yeah, Deanna wanted to know, but you guys answered that.
Yeah.
And then but Linda did want to know, Piper, where in Canada are you from? Because she's our resident Canadian.
Oh yeah, I'm in Ontario too. I'm in the GTA, so I'm just east of the city of Toronto.
Oh, fun.
I don't know where Linda is, but she probably knows where that. I'm in Durham Region, so she probably knows where that is.
We love Linda. Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's just it's the whole COVID thing, right? And then international travel is so difficult, and neither one of us is big fans of flying to begin with. So I think then you throw like a million protocols and things, even after we could travel, like, you know, because there was a period of time where it wasn't even an option. But oh, you're Scarborough. Okay, yeah. So yeah, hopefully sometime this year. Hopefully that this ran. That's what we're hoping.
Are you planning on both going in person this year?
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah.
That's what
Okay. Good.
Nice.
I am planning on being there too. I know we're all like, we're planning on being there. Fingers crossed. So
I know, because it's November, right? Things start to close up again, and so you're like, oh, like what's going to happen with COVID? And
no, I'm hoping that it will be not even an issue, that we'll be able to all get together. So that'll be fun. So I had some questions prepared, and then if you are watching and have questions, just pop them in the comments at any time. Dawn is going to keep an eye on those, and we'll try to get to as many as we possibly can. So, and I think we just lost Rayne. Sounded like
I heard a dog barking.
Sounded like a dog.
And once one starts, then like I have one at my feet. I don't know where yours is, Dawn, but yeah, once one starts, I kind of start.
I'm so sorry. Of course, my husband's not home, so I can't. My daughter's like trying to get him.
Things happen on our broadcasts, and we just roll with it. We had, I think it was Tadra Candle that got her cat wiped out her entire laptop one night, and we weren't sure if she had collapsed or like what had happened. After. So yeah, it's like we just go with it. It's all good. It's all good. So one of the questions I had, and I guess, before we get into talking about the specific book, I mean, I am fascinated by just the process of how you even write together, because I think, I don't know, Dawn and I think we both, have said like, oh, wouldn't it be fun to write a book with someone? And like you hear that from so many other people, because writing in itself can be such a solitary thing. And so you think like, oh, wouldn't it be fun to write with someone together? But then, I mean, you think maybe it would be easier, but I think it's probably a lot more complicated to actually write a book with someone else. So how do you handle that? Does somebody do one part? Or does somebody plot? Somebody write?
Yeah, right.
The girl.
We kind of started differently, but basically what we found for many, like most of all the books we've done is that one person will write lead, and that's generally Michelle if it's like a full length. And so we'll plan it out together. So we'll plot the whole thing like on Zoom before and really when we start a series, we kind of have a loose plot for the whole series, and then we'll like dive into like whatever book we're doing. So we'll plot that out together. Michelle will write the first draft. She throws it to me. I go through 2 rounds. I do all the revisions, and then it goes through the 2 editors and then the proofreader, and then we're done. So that's what's worked for us best. But there is, like, you're right, there is a lot of trust involved. I think at first I know, it's hard to pass. And even when I'm writing lead on something that's really not under Piper Rayne, it's under a different name, like, there's a lot of trust involved in passing over, because it's like a rough draft, right? It's not like
there's many times I never go back through even once to reread what I wrote. So
you shouldn't be. That's what I'm doing, right?
the beginning I used to though, because I used to be like, I can't give her my rough draft. You know what I mean? But like now I do. Now I'm like,
but
So
yeah,
you
so there's a lot of you have as a writer there's insecurities, right? You know, so you have to sort of like let them go and trust that the other person, like there's no judgment on the other end of that.
Right. Yes. Yeah, because I know that feeling of, you know, like I'm handing you my steaming pile of poo.
right?
You know, like make it look pretty.
Yeah.
So do you find that your techniques or even your voice has changed since you've started co-writing?
Hmm.
I don't know.
I think that well, yeah, we've changed. I mean, I think that we have changed a little bit in our pathway of writing together, really. I mean,
Yeah.
it started a little bit more like slapstick rom-coms, has turned into a little bit more family, which probably, I mean, you know, like I always say like Piper is so much more of the humor and I'm probably more of the heart, you know what I mean? Like I feel like that's where we balance each other out really well. So I will say we've changed that way. We both wrote more angsty stuff on our own before we became Piper Rayne. I was new adult angsty stuff, so like you were kind of too, right?
I was like all over that. I was like writing, like I was all over.
Right?
So now, what about your voice? Has your voices changed a little bit or stayed the same?
I think it stayed the same, honestly. Like I think like Rayne said, like Piper Rayne's voice probably has changed, but I've like the directions of the book has sort of changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But I feel like individually, I don't think our voices have really changed that much. I think the final product is like a real mix of the two of us. Like we're both really threaded in there.
Yeah.
And probably if you read our separate work, it would sound different. I think I have not gone back to read anything I've written in years. But I think it would probably read differently than a Piper Rayne book because we're both like threaded in so much on a Piper Rayne book.
I agree.
I feel like maybe we should do like a kind of like a pop quiz contest here and see like if our readers can give us a chapter that Piper wrote and a chapter, or do you guys do chapters or
No, it's like the whole book is like both. Like Rayne will write the first draft and then I go through and do all the revisions.
Oh, dang it. So you see how man. I was gonna be like, who can pick out where Piper wrote and what Rayne wrote and then see. So okay.
Right. But I feel like our readers haven't been able to tell when we flip flop.
Yeah.
Like, when we flip and she writes lead and I come in after, they haven't been able to tell that.
Yeah.
So, which you would think to me, I thought that would be like a different voice too, right? But yeah, no.
And honestly, like the odd time that we've had to go back to read something, like, you know, maybe you're pulling a quote or like somebody wants an excerpt from an old book or something. Or even when we had more time, we would like, if Rayne was writing lead and I was doing all the revisions and through the edits, like Rayne would reread it and vice versa if I was writing lead. And like, you don't even know what you wrote. Like I'll be like, oh my god, I loved this part, and she'd be like, oh, I didn't do that. You must have added that. And I'm like, oh, did I add that? Like, I don't know.
Like sometimes when I was reading, I'd like go back to like my Scrivener and I'd be like, did I write that line, or did she change that line, or did she made it better, or like you
really don't remember.
Yeah. So how about we do this then? Maybe give us a quote that you know that one of you wrote. And then we'll see if our viewers can guess who wrote it correctly.
I know. I don't even know if I can pull
know.
one out.
Can't pull one up real quick.
I think of one.
I should have probably thought of this before we came here.
I know you're totally putting it on the spot.
I'm trying to think of something.
So if something comes to
you, if
okay.
something pops up, be like, okay, well here's a contest. Like who can guess who wrote this?
Later.
Yeah.
So I want to know, because I mean, you've already got blurbs up for books that are in the series that aren't coming out for a while. So how far in advance, you know, it sounds like you have like do you have like an initial Zoom call to just kind of talk about the series and where that's going to go? So you kind of lay out like all the books, or
So
how
like
far in advance do you do all that? What does that look like?
Well, as soon as we know we can put up the pre-orders, because we are wide authors, so we do like to put up the pre-orders, hopefully a year out if we can. We don't always give the blurbs. Sometimes in our family series, we try to make it a surprise on who the next family member is going to be. So you have to really wait until you get that book right before it.
Mm-hmm.
But we have, as soon as we decide on a family, then all those 9 books and everything is plotted at that point, very loosely. Like we know the tropes, we know who's going to be partnered with who, what that other person will be like, and then we won't like Piper said, we won't dive into their story until right before we're going to write the book.
Mm-hmm.
But we really have plot everything.
Yeah, because there's so many
We like to keep
Easter eggs and like
Mhm.
threads through, like, maybe a couple in book 7, like you can see threads of that in book 2 already, but that don't mean, I feel like romance readers are trained to look for that, so they see that right away. But that's why it's there. So they, maybe you're like, oh, I wonder if like these two like might, end up together down the road. So we have to plot it out really early. But there are problems with that, because sometimes we end up like at that person's book, 7 books, 8 books down, and we're like, okay, we're not where we originally thought we'd be with this character, or their character development, or they're not who we originally pictured them to be, and now we got to figure out how we're going to solve this problem.
Well, that's where it's better to have 2 minds instead of one, right?
Yeah.
We're kind of together.
Like if you take like Warner and Imogen that's sneaking around with 34, so Warner was brought in the very first book as Ford's enemy at that point, and then the reader knew that something had gone on with his sister, even though you'd never heard from Warner, and like he was only like briefly on the ice or off the ice, right? But like, so we teased that through the first 3 books, so because we like to do that, then we have to plot everything out.
So figure out like what happened, and you're like, I don't know, what do you think happened?
I would say that's what happened after book 3. We were like, so what do you think really
like, so what happened between them? What do you think?
So if I'm right, I'll just write on like, so this just kind of came to me. I don't know. I guess we'll have to go with it. And she's like, all right, we'll go with it.
Has the love interest, one of your characters' love interests, ever changed from book 1? Like, have you gotten into book 3 and thought, nope, book 5 has to have this love interest instead? Like, have you ever changed it mid series?
I don't think we have.
No.
I know.
What's the book side?
I know. I think for book 8 in the Greens, which I can't say who it's about because we haven't said. Our readers probably can figure that out. But I don't think we really knew early on who her hero was going to be. Did we? I don't think so. Like we knew kind of like what he was going to be, what his job would be, but we didn't really know where he was going to be.
We didn't know.
Kind of where he was coming from, I guess.
Yeah, book 3 in the Green series as well. He wasn't always going to be an MMA fighter. I think he was going to be like an actor or something.
Yeah.
So there's things like that, but like I would say that majority, we kind of do know. I don't think
that's where it's fun too, because it sounds like you plot, but you're not like so rigid that if something else comes up or something develops as you go, that you can adjust and work it in and have a little bit of flexibility.
I would say that that's probably good for both of us, because like if we like, when I know if I write lead and I'm writing it, I'm just like, something's off. I don't know what it is. I can just feel it. You know what I mean? I'll just go back to her. We'll have a Zoom call, and then we'll just hash it out and figure it out from there. But
it's kind of nice. It's almost like having a built-in, kind of critique partner, consultant, book coach, whatever, no matter who it is, I've got somebody that is equally as invested that you can rely on.
I think that's the big thing. Like, we're both equally invested in this. And so I think that's why it works so well,
Yeah. And we both have, I don't know if, do you do Becca Syme's like strengths for writers? So we're both number 1 responsibilities.
Yeah.
Oh, how
so we will like not let each other down. Like it would just like kill us to like let somebody let each other down.
Yeah.
So that's helpful too.
That's very helpful.
Now I kind of want to know what your other top 4 are.
Then we're completely opposite after that.
Yeah, after that. She's much more inner feels, and I'm like,
I'm all feeling. She's all like the business, like futuristic, like all that.
Yeah, futuristic I don't even remember. Mine is all like work. So it's like I'm built to be a workaholic. I can tell Finch feel bad about it.
I'm like empathy and harmony. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I've got a mix. I know, Dawn, you haven't done those yet. I keep telling you, you need to do the strength thing.
I do.
I made my husband
Yeah.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
I made him take her class because I was like, I want to know I want to like understand you better. And then I really did. When
Mm-hmm.
they came back, at first I was surprised, and then I started thinking about them, and I was like, no, actually, that all makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's definitely given us a different like framework to think. I made my 18-year-old take it because they're about to go to college and everything. And like,
Yeah.
no.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll get you hooked up, Dawn.
Right, yes.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm
That's good.
just waiting.
Mhm. Well, and it's not just for writers either. I mean, it's a Gallup strength.
Yeah.
So anybody can do it, and like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Honestly, I think my husband may have done it in his
He
leadership
probably
class in
did
the
through the
military.
military.
Right,
Yeah.
But if you go to like there was like the Strengths Finder book, and if you
Yeah.
order the book, it comes with a code, and so you can take it, and it's
Mhm.
just really interesting. I know Megan is saying yes, it was amazing, but I think as a writer, it's really interesting because Becca does these classes specifically for writing and how you incorporate that into your writing and everything, and it's really fascinating. So
yes. Mhm.
yes, it's really fun that you guys said that.
Yeah.
All right, so I was now going to kind of get into, unless we have any other questions, Dawn, about just process and stuff, I was going to kind of start to get into talking about the book.
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, so so the Hockey Hotties, they all up to this point play for Florida Fury. Is that
Yeah.
Mhm.
correct? Okay, and it sounds like there's potentially. I mean, this is your first like straight up hockey series, right?
Mhm.
So, are you enjoying writing hockey? Is it looking like there might be, some other teams that might spin off of this? Because
Right.
I mean, hockey, once you kind of get into hockey is like its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
world.
We struggled with that actually about what to do after this series. We were
Yeah.
like, should we just extend it? Should we spin off to a different hockey series? We're actually going to spin off to a football series.
Okay.
Oh.
Mhm.
But I can't really say too much, but we've done some things at the end of the series that sort of leaves us open if we wanted to like go back and start a new hockey series
Mhm.
Okay.
after the football series. So maybe
Yeah.
we really weren't sure if if readers would still like want another like back to back, another hockey series, or if we and then even just creatively, like switch it up into something a little different. So we're gonna do football
Mhm.
series after that. So we'll see how that goes.
Mhm.
So, who knows about hockey? Because I mean, if you're,
My
there's
husband.
if you're writing sports romance, if you like kind of immerse yourself in a specific sport, then you can kind of use that. I mean, like with anything, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I wrote
Yeah.
about a bull rider, and then it's like, oh my gosh, you've learned so much about a bull rider, and now you got to go learn about a firefighter or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Like hockey or football or baseball, whatever the sport is, you kind of like immerse yourself in that, and you have to kind of learn the ins and outs. And
Yeah. I mean, I knew I wasn't an expert, but I knew enough. Like I've grown up, I live in Canada and I live like in Leafs Nation, like, and so I know enough about hockey, my husband's always talking about it and yelling at the TV. And so I've heard lots of things, and Sports Center's on every morning when I'm getting ready because he's watching it. So, by osmosis, I have taken in lots. But like there was things I'd be like, what do you call this? Or like, what would a guy say to this guy? Like if he's like chirping him on the ice, like what would he say to him? And he would, give me some things. And I'm like, no, you need to like make it so like, not so guy like, like nobody will know what those words are, what they mean. Like, because there's a lot of Canadianisms I've found too. Like sometimes I'll say things to Rayne and she's like, what? Like and I didn't realize that they're like Canadianisms. And so I'm like, no, we need to make it like more basic. Like, and so he was helpful in that regard. And like they spent time on the ice, but we didn't get into like a whole lot of like play-by-plays, like, commentary of the game. There is a little bit of there, but it's mostly like in the dressing room or like outside of the arena or like, at their homes, that type of thing. So that's
maybe during warm-ups or something, but never like
practices.
yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right. And then Imogen and Warner met in high school. And so there were, I mean, I guess I don't know, do you do a lot of flashbacks in all of your books? Or this one was kind of fun because you got to see, them then and them now. And I like the way that you kind of slipped into the flashback where it was almost, it was like happening in real time. It wasn't like they were remembering, they were actually experiencing it. And so, is that kind of a new thing for you? Do you do a lot of flashbacks in your books or?
I think we do a lot of flashbacks usually in situations like that, like
Mhm.
second chances. I would say maybe
Mhm.
we do a few flashbacks. We don't try to do too many.
I'm like,
Piper's not really a huge fan of flashbacks.
no,
I forgot
that's why I was laughing
name
because
for it. I was like, I think
as a reader, I only enjoy a flashback when you're learning something new.
yeah.
So I don't enjoy in books when I'm reading a flashback that I'm not actually learning something new about the characters or about what happened. I'm just like, okay, I just want to get to like the present because this already happened and it's not making any difference to what's going on now. I just want to get back to like the action of what's happening in present time. So that's why we're giggling because I'm very like, well, there has to be some new information.
Do you think that's your futuristic speaking? No,
Probably.
joking.
Probably is.
So I would say we've only used flashbacks, maybe a handful of books, maybe.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, and I think in Second Chance, it's so hard because, you want the reader to know what happened.
Yeah.
And if you just kind of like say it in conversation,
I
and they don't
know,
really get that feeling of, because when you went back and you could actually see the relationship building and, them going in the theater room and hanging out, and the conversation and all that. I mean, I think it just makes it so much more real.
Yeah, other than being like, yeah, we hung out in the theater room and we
Yeah,
dated,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. If you just like tell people that, they don't get that feel for
Yeah.
it.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
I don't know. Do you write a lot of flashbacks, Dawn?
No. No, I don't. I think I've only written a couple. I think my very first couple, one of my first 2 books or something, I did a flashback and then, I got that feedback like, nope. Like, you don't want the flashbacks.
Right.
Try not to do that.
Editors do not like flashbacks.
Yeah. So
I'd love to know what readers think, though. I mean, if you're watching and
Yeah.
have an opinion on flashbacks, let us know. 'Cause that would be
I am
Yeah.
too. I mean, usually those are like some of our best ranked books.
Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
Flashbacks, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But, I don't know.
Yep.
But yeah, you always hear how some people are just like, I don't like flashbacks.
yeah.
No, it's not that I don't like them.
It's
They
that
seem
you
to
like
serve
them
a
very
purpose.
specifically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
very
just serve a
specific.
purpose. Like same as like, if you're putting a sex scene in, right? It's like in the, unless it's like erotica, like it serves a purpose, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's there at that moment, and not like somewhere else in the book. That's all.
Yeah.
Right.
So yes, it's not that I hate them altogether.
I
She likes flashbacks with purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think you have already talked about this a little bit, but as a reader, I mean, you guys teased the whole like what happened between Ford and Warner, way back, what happened, and I mean, it was just like this. I mean, it's a great hook because the whole time, and I actually listened to the audio, so I got to enjoy the
Mhm.
narration. But you were like waiting, like, oh my God, when are they going to tell me? When are they going to tell me? They keep talking about when are they going to tell me? I mean, it really kind of drew you through the whole book. But was that hard to write? I mean, at what point did you know what happened? Because we kind of talked about like we're really sure.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So at what point did you know that? And then, how do you decide like how long to carry that through?
I mean, I feel like because like how you said, we wanted to form that connection with them, right, when they were
Mhm.
younger. So I feel like we knew we had to include those scenes before that final scene would come into play. So
Mhm.
I think we just said let's plot it. I think 50% is what we plotted it at. I
Pretty
think.
close, yeah.
But I would say the worst was writing Ford's book and still having to like allude to that, and it was just that was a tricky situation too. But without readers being like, okay, like just tell, you know what I mean? Like just tell me, like that
Yeah,
they're
it's
gaining
a
the weight.
delicate balance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I want to go back and read Ford's book now because, like I said, I jumped in with this one, and I mean, I loved it, and so now I got to go back and figure out, because I think you do a nice job. I mean, I didn't know who all the characters were, but you could tell,
Oh,
who they were and who the first couple books were, and so without having even read the first 3 in the series, 3 before this one, that it's like you knew who they were, and you could get a real sense of who they were and what happened. And so I think that would be interesting to have Ford's book come before this one, because people fell in love with Ford, and then you see Ford, and he's being so
well, that's what we said. We said we were happy that we wrote Ford as 3, because we were afraid that people would hate him so much in book 4, because you see him in the past days, right? And even in the present, like, he's not happy about the situation.
Well, but I think, it's justifiable. I mean, it was, again, it just added to that, like, what in the world what in the world happened? I mean, this was clearly more than just like a little falling out or something.
Yeah.
So I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah.
And then I was going to say, like, the relationship between the players was so natural and well done. How did you, I don't know. I mean, I've never been inside a hockey locker room, and I've never been like privy to the conversation between the guys on the team and stuff like that. Like, does it just come natural? Do you eavesdrop? I mean, you should listen to podcasts of like guys talking to each other.
Right. No. I mean, I do. I mean, I have to watch a lot of sports stuff with my husband and my son. Like, I mean, all those like Hard Knocks, like those football, so I feel like it is the same mentality, right, in the locker room or whatever. But pretty much I'm imagining that they're talking about this stuff. Who knows if they really are, right?
Yeah, I feel like the same, except I'm not really watching it in a locker room. I'm more just like years of observation of how men bond, which is just like busting each other's balls like constantly. It seems like that's all they do. Like, even my husband, like, he'll tell, I just texted one, and tell me, I'm just like, oh, okay, great. Like, I just like I just always think, imagine a bunch of women just like casually insulting each other. Like, it's like how we all just communicate. It's just very odd, but it just seems to be how they get on.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Well, and I think, like, Dawn, you were in the military, and so you were probably around a bunch of guys who kind of BS each other and stuff, and so I would imagine that's similar to how guys on a sports team would.
Yeah, I would imagine for sure.
Chat with each other and that kind of a thing. But no, I think the relationship between the guys, I mean, even as like Ford, who had been there for a little while, and then Warner coming in as a newbie, and or I guess a trade. I don't know, what would you call that? A trade.
Yeah.
And then seeing like the other new guy, the rookie. God, that was the word I was looking for. I'm sorry. The other rookie guy, and just how the dynamic shifted, because then there were kind of like the guys that were kind of aligned with Ford a little bit, and there were the kind of the guys that were a little bit more accepting of Warner and everything. And so I just thought that was really cool. So I was going to ask, what is your favorite scene in the book? Do you have one?
Okay, I gotta think back to the book.
Or whoever's
I have one
watching.
in mind. I really like. I have 2. I like the dinner at the end with the podiatrist.
Yeah.
And I really like where it's just before like the reveal of what happened in the past. And I don't know, that just kind of got me in my feels there. They were like, he was like pushing so hard for her to like really like forgive him so they could like move forward. And, she was just so reticent, and like, I don't know, I could just feel his like desperation, like to like, I know I screwed up, like, but please, like, let's not let that ruin what this could be. So I think those would be my 2 favorite, probably.
Yeah, and you can talk spoilers, because we tell people, if you're coming to book club, like,
right.
it's okay if you haven't read the book. Like, we'd love to have people come and just listen anyways, but don't expect to be protected from spoilers if
Right.
you
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
talk about it if you want to.
Yeah. I love that
Yeah.
dinner. Hmm.
Mhm.
The last dinner. I thought that was funny. Yeah.
The dinner was great. I know when you had the doctor come in, I was like, what the heck? And then you find out that her brother has tried to set her up and
Mhm.
all the foot talk and
Hmm.
Yeah, and I really just like any scene where Ford is like not happy about their communication. Like I just like when he's just like trying his damnedest to like shut this down. I know it kind of makes him a controlling jerk, like older brother a bit, but I just liked those scenes. I think because I like Ford from like his book previously, so I just and the fact that if you read his book, you'll see that his struggle was very much with his father being so controlling in his life, and that he doesn't see that he's perpetuating the same behavior, like until the very end of the book. Like, oh my god, I am. So, I like any scene that Ford's in trying to shut those two down.
Well, that's an interesting way to do it too, because Ford in his book, and again, I haven't read that one, but I can imagine because you set up the relationship with the dad and everything, and if so, that was his journey and trying to figure out, does he want to do hockey? Does he want to let his dad decide, what he wants to do? So he have had to go through and have some sort of an arc, and then to come into this book, and he kind of has another little bit of an
Right. Yeah.
going through the relationship with Imogen and Warner, because by the end, he's finally like, you just kind of want to like, and he finally kind of owns up to it, and I think when you have a hero like Warner, I mean, obviously when you find out what the secret is and everything, and you're kind of like, oh, how could he, and then and so it's like, how do you redeem somebody from that? And then when all is revealed, it's like like, okay, so I feel bad if anybody stopped reading at some point and didn't get the full experience, because they're probably like, Ford was dark and Water was such a and it's like, oh, it's all okay. It all makes sense in the end. It's all okay.
Right.
So with that, can I put this one on here?
Absolutely.
What would be the most favorite of all your books have written together?
I'm looking at my book case.
I know there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at my bookcase too. God, I don't even know. I could probably give like a handful. I could probably give you like a handful. Let me see. What do you want to go first, Piper? You go first.
Yeah, I would say I'll give a handful too. I would say Charmed by the Bartender, because that was like our first book, so that sort of like set us off. I feel like probably I really like Sneaking Around with 34. I like that book a lot. Geez, I don't know. Lessons from a One Night Stand, probably. Just, I feel like Rayne would probably say too. I don't know. It's hard. It's a lot
There's
of
like
books.
little couples in each one that they just kind of came to the page a little faster than others, and you just knew that like that was something was happening. Dirty Talker of our Single Dad series.
Yes, yeah, Dirty Talker.
I still love the Rival Roomies of our Rooftop Crew. It was just like the end scene for that. I think it was like the ending of that one, like the black moment from that one that I just loved so much. But then yeah, I did love Sneaking Around with 34. That's probably my favorite of the Hockey Hotties at this point.
Yeah. Same.
And then I did love Engage in the EMT a lot, which is our Blue Collar Brothers.
Yeah, and I liked, so then he starts like, and I like this one, and then
we just can't pick one.
Well, and I know people joke about, like your books are kind of like your children. I mean, you love them all equally in different ways, right?
Yes,
right.
And I kind of try to say, because there's, I like this one because of this, and this one because of this. So it's hard to pick because, you probably put just as much of yourself into each one of them.
It is, and they're all different, like people to us. You know what I mean? They all different personalities, and so.
Right.
Just like kids, some of them are harder than others.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And in this book in particular, were there any plot points that you argued over, or do you ever argue over plot points, or?
I think maybe we didn't ever argue about plot points.
Never argue.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we've had some like
sometimes it would be like,
yeah,
oh, I don't know.
where we've been. I mean, like a lot of times, I feel like I know there was, I don't know, one book sort of near the beginning where I don't even know what it was, and we kind of like walked away and we're like, okay, let's just like go both think about this, and then we came back and made a decision. But most of the time, like I feel like even if it's something we're not like quite jiving on, if I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's best, but like if you think it is, go for it. Like, and Rain will be like, no, we won't do it. And I'm like, no, like it's not like the hill I want to die on. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if there was something either of us felt really strongly about, we would say that, but I don't think they're really.
Yeah, I would say like sometimes like I have a hard time like hurting our characters, especially
that's true. That's true.
So sometimes I'll be like, just tell me to do it, or like, you know what I mean? Or she will just be like, no, you have to do it. You got to write it. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I think.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Yes. You have trouble hurting your darlings. And I'm like, no, just throw it at them. It's fine. They can take it.
Yeah.
Well, then do you ever have to go back in there and like twist the knife that, she's barely like, no, dig it in.
Right.
Well, I feel like we could all use somebody like that to, when you go through and read your stuff. No, it's just that dynamic, fascinating.
It's so different. We're writing something like just random, like we're writing something like totally different than this and happened for a while. And like, did I leave you that voicemail the other day? And I was like, I'm really thinking about it. I think we should definitely actually cut her finger off.
Oh, yeah.
It's like in my head, I'm like, Rain is not going to want to do that. But I'm like, I really think
I would never do it. I'd feel like that.
So are you writing another Piper Rayne book, or are you writing under another pen name together?
No, this would, if we released it, it would be under like our own names, probably. We wrote another duet under the X Factor duet under like Elizabeth Grace and Michelle Lynn, and released that a few years ago at least. And this one's been kind of like off and on probably for a few years also. And so it'll get finished at some point, I guess. But it's not something we could ever release under a Piper name. Like it's just obviously if we're cutting fingers off.
Very different.
It's not really like funny contemporary romance.
Yeah.
Not so much rom-com and in that way.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this one. I think I only have 2 questions here. So tell us a random fact about yourself that would surprise your readers.
I feel like I'm so boring.
I know. I told you the questions would be easy tonight, and here we go.
Okay, I got married I only have 2 claims to fame. I got married in Vegas on 7/7/7, like July 7th, 2007. And I was on a HGTV TV show once.
Fun.
So that's my only interesting facts, like literally.
What did you do on the HGTV?
You can't just say that.
Yeah.
I went through and pretended I was looking at the house.
Oh, okay.
It's all fake.
Oh, right.
Like I was a real estate agent at the time.
I know you're ruining that for me. My love it and list it. You're ruining that all for me.
Yeah, so it was like me and my brother and my husband and my brother and his wife who were also agents, and then my father-in-law was also an agent. And so yeah, we all went through and like looked at the house renovations. And I was like 9 months pregnant, so I was like looking real good, and and yeah, so that's my only claim to fame.
Well, Dawn just became a real estate agent, so
I did, yeah.
Awesome.
I'm enjoying it.
So, but you haven't been on any TV shows yet.
Well, but Yellowstone is just about here, right? The crew is in here working, but the cast isn't here yet. So there's still time.
Oh man.
Awesome.
Moved to Montana not that well. You grew up there, but you moved back not that long ago, and like right in the same town where they film Yellowstone. So
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
we're hoping Dawn gets
It's
to be an extra so we can all watch.
right.
In fact, like I have to say this, and my mother's not watching, but I know a lot of you have met my mother that have been like at least on the
To the show.
chat. She says, yesterday I called her for something totally not this, and she says, I totally got hit on by a Spaniard in the grocery line, and he's like, come over here. Like, I can't do a Spanish accent, but come over here, like, and so, and then he was like hitting on her, and then he's like, yeah, I work for Yellowstone, and like, she's
That's
like,
his pickup line.
yeah, this is pickup line. And she's like, oh, something, something. And then she's like, my husband, he's like, oh, you're married. And so that ended that. So but I'm just like so excited.
Your
And
mom
he's
then you're in, Dawn.
he
Right.
was from, but he's from Spain, he's
Mm.
not just Latin, like he's from
Mhm.
Spain. He's a
Nice.
Spaniard.
Very
Jeez. Mhm.
She would kill me if she saw this video.
So we didn't get Rayne's random fact.
Yes,
Oh,
Rain, you're
Oh,
very
now you've had all this extra time to think about it.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's see. I have twins and my sister has triplets.
Oh,
wow.
It's not hereditary though. We're both fertility treatments, but
Okay.
it is rare that would happen. And I don't know. I don't really have anything else. I don't
How
know.
old are your twins now?
13.
Oh, it's a perfect age.
Yeah.
Her triplets are just turned 17. So yeah.
I feel
Just
for
had
you.
it- she
I
just
got
got them all cars, and now she's paying for insurance, and like she's thinking about college. I can't even imagine it, but
And are your twins boys or girls?
boy,
or-
girl.
Okay. So you've got one of each.
Yes.
yeah.
So you get to experience the teen years.
Yeah.
Both
Both sides.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
good
joyous.
times. Good times.
Great.
Very
I would
fun.
say my son, though, I feel like I don't have that. I mean, I don't want to say it because I know my daughter's nearby. You know what I mean? She brings most of the drama.
Yeah.
Well, and it depends on the kid because now I have 18 and 16 and 13, and
Oh,
it's amazing.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my 18-year-old is at that stage where we're just like, he's fucking, I mean, sorry. He's effing gone. Like he's gone. Like he's just there because he's got to finish school.
Mhm.
But he has mentally grown up already.
Mhm.
And so we're struggling so hard with that one.
I know. I can't.
And then, my daughter's at the I want to go to prom stage. So yeah.
Mhm. That's the one thing I always tell my husband. I'm like, they're gonna leave me at the same time. You don't
Yeah.
understand. Like they're my only kids.
no
so
kidding.
I know.
You get double
Like,
the
it's already
fun,
knowing it. Like,
double the heartache when it's time.
Yeah.
right?
Like
I
so
know.
it's a shocking empty nest syndrome. It's not like a
Right.
gradual one for the
Yes.
rest of us, but it's like a empty
Yeah, like
nest.
I
What
remember
are you
when
gonna
I
do?
was the youngest and I left, I remember my mom, like she took it so hard, you know what I mean? And you had 2 before me to get ready for it. Like, mine are just gonna be here one day and then they're gonna be gone, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
And
gosh. Well,
yeah.
you've got a little bit of time left.
Yes, I know. That's why I keep telling myself when they're fighting, and arguing about what
Yeah.
and
You
my
should
son
plan
takes
the
me to her
ultimate
science class,
vacation.
Mhm.
Yeah. Plan the ultimate vacation, one that you
Yes.
would never go on otherwise, so you can be like, "Yes, they're gone."
Right.
And then, like, get it later on after you've had your fun, then you get the empty nest syndrome,
Yeah.
but you've had your fun, and
I
it kinda tampers it down a
Mhm.
little.
That's true.
We have a couple more questions.
Yeah,
How
let's
many
see
do
that.
you have any, Dylan? Do you have more?
No, we can
Okay.
cover the other ones now.
Okay. Let me see.
Karen is here tonight. I see one from her.
Karen. Yes. Her new question, Karen's our resident questionnaire. Do you have any tips or tricks to writing a blurb?
Mm,
It's literally our least favorite part.
yeah, for sure. Mhm.
Like we're doing blurbs. Like our PR person would be like your cover reveals in 2 days. Can I get a blurb?
Yeah, sure.
Tips or tricks?
I would say, well, I mean, for us, we always try to end on the inciting incident, or
Mhm.
usually the hook of some sort is usually what we're trying at the end to do. Um, I don't know. I feel like we try to make them fun, or like,
Yeah, we try to write them in the same voice
yeah,
or similar voice that you'll find in the book.
like I would say for our family series, we only write them from the family member whose book it is from their point of view.
Yeah.
So, and then same thing with the hockey guys. I think we did them all through the hockey.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, I noticed that. They're all from
Mhm.
the male's perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think we've ever done like a dual blurb. Like I don't think we've ever done like,
No.
hero, heroine or
Mhm.
vice versa. It's always like one or the other. And it's generally like whoever that's the series is usually about like a family or like, if it's a team, the people on the team. So it's usually whoever is the main. I'm thinking of our earlier books when it wasn't so much that, but like Single Dads Club, it was all from, I think, from the single dads
Yeah.
perspective. Yeah,
I mean,
because it's weird.
like,
I feel like it's from whoever has the connection to each other.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like whoever the three connecting people
Yeah.
are, it's from their POV. I
Mhm.
don't recall if that's a conscious decision we made or just kind of
Right.
something we did.
I mean, we definitely suggest. Well, we are totally trope people, so I
Yes.
mean, like, put as many tropes as you have in that book in that blurb.
Ah.
Keywords for that trope as well. Try
Yeah.
to use them as much as you can. Don't get too wordy. We're never over 200. We usually are always under 200 words.
Mhm.
I don't know what else.
I think my advice is just trying to get it done. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
that's where I'm at, right?
mhm,
Do it.
Mhm.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
just
some
get
are
it out.
easy and
Mhm.
some are like so difficult. Like I
Yeah.
remember the Charmed by the Bartender one. I can remember that was like bam, like it just came in my
Right.
head and I went to the computer and like banged it out and I don't think we've changed it since. It just like worked. We're like, okay,
Nice.
done. But some of them it's just like we just go back and forth and like one of us will do it and then it's like, okay, see, like they'll make changes and throw it back to the other person and they'll make changes until we
Mhm.
get to somewhere where we're both happy. And
And
then we
there's
see,
other times one of us will throw something, we're just like, "Yeah, I don't like any of it, we're just gonna start over." Like, you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
But sometimes you have to get like the bad ideas out almost before you can get to like the good idea. I feel like,
Yeah.
and
or
you,
like sometimes you just pluck the good stuff out and try to
yeah,
rework it some other way. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes, yeah, just getting something out there gives you something.
Yes, right.
Two of you looking at the same thing.
Mhm.
That might, help. But yeah,
Mhm.
we have heard a lot of authors say, like, you can write like a 75,000 word book, no problem. But trying to distill that all down into like a 200 word blurb is
Yeah,
To get people to buy your
mhm.
books.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's hard. It is.
Sometimes we'll do a list. Like, I'll do a list, like, if I'm first on the blurb, like, I'll just do a list of, like, all tropes
Mhm.
that are included in the book, and then I'll just write down, like, a couple keywords, and I'll just try to, like, piece it all together somehow. I don't know. Always have that insane incident at the bottom and then try to work it out somehow,
Yeah.
But
So are there any tropes that you would just never like that are kind of like your kryptonite? Like we
Oh.
cannot, we don't want to go there. We just hate those. Are there any that, you just absolutely don't think you'll ever write? Or are there any that are your absolute favorites
I
that
feel like there's some we wouldn't write because they just wouldn't work with like the type of book that we write. Like,
Mhm.
like I love reading mafia books, but we could never write a mafia book,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
But everything else I feel like is fair game as long as we can
we
do
have
it.
Yeah, we have favorites. We always try to do ones that we've never done before. I mean,
Mhm.
in the same respect, there's some that we've done that I would probably never do again. I don't know if I'd ever do an amnesia one again, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
I was gonna say
it was
Amnesia and
okay.
Secret Baby seem to be like the most controversial.
Yeah, right. I
Mhm.
mean, you gotta figure out so much stuff, right? Yeah. Mhm.
Right.
How about temporary amnesia? That's what I'm working on right now. That's the book I got
That's what
right
we
now.
did.
But it's like
Well,
one
she got
scene.
some memory back.
Get some
Yeah.
memory back in the book we
Well,
did, but yeah.
yeah. Mine's like one scene. Like he
Mhm.
got kissed a bull and
Mhm.
It's more like a really bad concussion.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we did that because we hadn't done it, and we read a book that we loved that had amnesia in it.
Yeah.
That Billy Scott wrote, which I can't remember the name right now. Sorry. And we were like, hey, like years later, we're like, hey, we haven't.
Repeat. It was repeat. I think
Yeah, repeat. And we were just like trying to look for tropes that we hadn't done. And I mean, we've got a lot of books now, so we've kind of done, I feel like most of the ones a kid do under the type of book we write. And so that one popped up. And I love that book, actually. I really like that book. But it was more difficult, you know,
Yeah.
for sure. And like Enemies to Lovers, we love writing Enemies to Lovers. Second Chance. I love when we do Second Chance.
Brother's best friend or anything like
Brother's
that.
best friend, love that.
Yes.
Coincidentally, we don't really love Friends to Lovers. But when we write it, our readers seem to really love it. But as readers, like,
Not really huge.
I don't ever really read a Friends to Lovers. But yeah, I would say that's our big three would be Enemies to Lovers, Second Chance, and like Brother's Best Friend, probably.
Those are usually always in our series at some point.
Yeah. And we have a lot of single dads, I guess, too, probably.
Oh, single dads. Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, we have a lot of single dads. Yeah.
Awesome. Those are some of my favorites too.
All right, Dylan, the last question is, I think, for you.
No, well, yeah, I was going to say, Karen wants to know if you guys will be, I'm assuming she means Book Bonanza.
Oh, right.
We were supposed to be, but I can't travel during that time at the moment, so no. So we pushed to next year. So we'll be there next June now.
Yeah.
So are there any signings that you're planning on going to?
Not this year. We're supposed to be a Wild and Windy and then Book Bonanza, and we had to come out of both. I don't think we have any other ones, right?
No.
Yeah.
No. We have Book Bonanza next year, and then 2 that we can't say anything about yet. So other places.
Secrecy. So do our viewers need to join your group if they're not, in order to know what that secret is going to be later on?
Yes, or their newsletter.
Yeah, right.
Or their newsletter. Okay.
So that is a great segue, Dawn. Where can people find you? You've got a reader group, the Unicorns.
Yeah, Piper Rayne's Unicorns. That's the best place. We spend a lot of time there, like actually chatting back and forth with readers. That's the best place for that. Our newsletter, which you can find and sign up on piperrayne.com, is the best way to keep up to date with like sales, new releases, cover reveals. And then we have on our website too a page, piperrayne.com, I think it's /freebies, and that always has all the free books that we have at the moment. I think there's I feel like there's 5 or 6 on there right now, so rare. So if you haven't grabbed them, you can grab them.
Yeah.
And what is coming next? I know you've got the next Hockey Hotties book. Well, you had one that just came out.
Yeah.
And then you got one more, it looked like, on pre-order.
Yeah, and then before that, we have a novella, A Green Family Vacation, which is just sort of like a primer for the last 3 books in the Green Family.
Yeah.
So
is that the end of the hockey series then? After?
Yes.
Yeah.
So then readers can look forward to hopefully a football series coming soon, and
we're doing our first holiday standalone romance too.
Yeah.
Oh,
all right.
But I feel like Rayne looked a little bit more sad about the end of the hockey one than Piper did.
I don't know why. I've always said that by them though. Like that's just always me.
You do get attached.
But see, that's what, like, it's our strengths, right? I'm like, okay, next.
Right.
I mean, you got to figure out like how to package that so you can put a lid on it sometimes.
I talk to Becca on our monthly calls all the time. I'm like, I need to get out of my futuristic head sometimes. It's like, it's exhausting for me, honestly.
Yeah, put that on ice.
Yes.
Yeah.
See what I did there with the hockey. But
I was going to say, I see what you did.
All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us today. We really appreciate it. And we do have a couple of the book boxes left. If you want to get a signed copy, I just love looking at this cover. I mean,
I
there's
know
just
she does.
my
That's one of
13-year-old.
those pictures, right?
Sorry,
Yeah,
cut.
he's pretty yummy.
Yeah.
16-year-old. She would die if she knew that I said she was 13. My 16-year-old, I was like, oh shoot, I forgot the book downstairs. Go grab it for me. And she's like, Mom, is it this one? And I'm like, aw. She's like, those are some abs. I'm like, yeah. So yeah, you're satisfying a wide range of readers in different ages. I didn't let her read it, but yeah, definitely. We appreciate you being with us to chat with us about it and just give us a little bit of insight into. I was just fascinated I was really looking forward to talking to you to figure out like how does all that work?
Right. Yeah.
Different duos and co-authors. They do. It's always different. So
It is, right.
See how you do that. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us. Dawn and I will be back next week with another episode of Romance Happy Hour and catch up with Piper and Rayne on their website or in their Facebook group. And make sure you go back and read those hockey hotties because they're really scrumptious. So.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night. Thanks for being with us.
Bye.
We will
Thanks for having
see you
us.
next week.